Welcome to Leadership Sovereignty, the podcast. I'm your host, Terry Baylor, along with Ralph Owens. And today we'll discuss understanding human capital, how to align operational tasks with your goals, the pitfall of undervaluing the process of setting goals, and the power of a personal narrative and its components. Enjoy the show. So, what they're trying to do is have that kind of work put in a bucket that right size the talent for the work. It's the best way I can say it.
Mm-hmm.
Right size the talent for the work. One of the things I tell my team is, sometimes we'll get, requests, and, my phrase is, hey man, let's get the right work in the right place.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So organizations are doing that from a human capital standpoint, meaning that folks like us, Ralph, they don't want us doing the day-to-day operations.
Mm-mm.
They want us strategic and
Right.
working on capital projects that are going to move the needle for the business.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
they're taking that operational day-to-day stuff and, quite honestly, outsourcing it or bringing in contractors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where they can put their more higher value human capital persons on those projects that are going to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
These are the things that we want to have as our goals, right?
Right.
Now, if you are in operations, critical role. If you are, then your value is going to be in that repeatable with as short a turnaround time on those tasks and accuracy,
Mm-hmm.
right, in your reporting. So
Mm-hmm.
your SMART goal, if you, let's just say operationally, right, your job, I'm just going to use that, you stock shelves,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you know that the delivery comes on Tuesdays and Thursdays, right? So your measurable is going to be around being prepared for when the truck comes, what automation, if there's any, and what process that's been documented that ensures that truck is only going to be at your stop for the minimal amount of time needed.
Right.
You're not waiting on them. They're not waiting on you. You have all of the tools that it takes to transport the goods. You have the resources on your team lined up to get those resources off the truck into the bins and whatever that it means to transport to the store. You have enough hands to get those products on the shelf. Again, now this is where Ralph has said something before, and where you can tie this into, and this is an example, where you tie this into a SMART goal. You understand that grapes shelf lives are 10 days. And your customers are typically buying the grapes out in 7 days. So you've worked with the business to make sure that the shipment is going to be there at day 6.5 in the refrigerator so you can start replenishing, right? That's just a high level kind of example, right? If you're in operations. Right? Understanding the business is going to help you do your job better.
That's right. Yeah. And formulate your goals better.
And
right?
formulate your goals better.
At the end of the day, that goal needs to be pushing that business forward.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Exchange of value, as you always say.
So anyway, so those are, again, man, just some of the points that, we want, you know what, let me add one more. One more I think is a major pitfall in setting goals is undervaluing the process of setting goals. I would say that's the number one
that's good.
pitfall, right?
Yeah, that's good.
I've had folks on my team, Terry, man, they don't read this stuff. And I'm just, they do a one-liner. I'm going to make sure the systems are patched.
That used to be me. Yeah, that used to be. I'm being transparent. That used to be me. I'm like, man, why I'm going through all this, man? They don't even read this stuff, right? This is just an annual exercise that they tell everybody to do. They don't hold anybody accountable to it. But one day, I realized that oh, I can use this to my advantage when it comes time for promotion or bonus or anything like that. I can come back to this well crafted and articulated goal and show how I've proved my value to the organization. Whereas the guy who was doing the one liner can't. Right. So yeah. I'm putting my hand up in there. I was that guy.
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I think we all were. And so I would say one of the other benefits I saw to going through this document, right? We've seen this, or creating this document. We've seen this at the C-suite level, at the director level. Man, sometimes they're flying in and out.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying in and out. Here's who's the new CIO.
Mm-hmm.
Meet the new CIO, same as the old CIO.
Right.
So
Right.
here's the new director. Hey, I had a guy to work with. He'd be like, he told me, he said, Terry, meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Right.
But here's the
Right.
deal, right? They're not going to know anything about you,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
right? And there's going to be a narrative about you, and what can aid and assist in that narrative? That well-crafted document that you took time to put together that
Mm-hmm.
shows, this person really cares about what they're doing. They took the time to build out this well-crafted goal-setting document with action. We're going to get into this. I can actually see who they are as a person
Mm-hmm.
inside of this document because of how they framed what their goals are.
That's
It's
powerful.
not just task driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just outcome driven,
Mm-hmm.
but it's purposeful.
Mm-hmm.
They've given character and life to this document.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've been going through this, Ralph, I'm gonna be really transparent here. Is this has challenged me to write my goals better,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
As we
Same here.
were opening up the show, I said I don't believe I've really ever added my personal narrative to my goal. Now, when I've interviewed, I've done that, right? I've shared
Mm-hmm.
my narrative. And we'll get into what that means. But yeah, this is, guys, I believe this is a game changer.
Yeah. 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 So let's jump into that next segment and about creating your personal narrative. So Terry, what is your personal narrative? What is that?
So the personal narrative is basically, your story, your experiences, your thoughts, your emotion. It focuses on significant events and moments in your life, right? What made you who you are, right? So I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you an example. Here's my personal story, and I've rehearsed it so much. It's just a part of, I can just spit it out at any time,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes something like this. My parents gave their lives so others could have great lives. I saw my parents serve people in such an amazing way. And I have 8 siblings. I see that played out in all of our lives, no matter what, we're doing, right? I have
Mm-hmm.
some folks in my family who are ministers. I have bankers. I
Mm-hmm.
have educators. I have musicians. I have entrepreneurs. At the root of everything that they're doing, they are always trying to help others. And technology has given me that avenue to help
Mm-hmm.
others, not only to help others grow their careers, but also to align with the organizations that have entrusted me to lead teams that I can help them reach their goals and their outcomes. Because ultimately, it's about giving. And the
Yeah.
more you give, the more fulfilling your life's going to be because your purpose and design is to really help humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really, that's the driver for my life, right? Is if
You,
I can help you,
yeah. Man, do you know how
It's going to pay its
powerful
back.
that is when, let's just say, a new leader comes in and they read your goals and they can see your personal statement and they get that type of insight about you. Think about how they're going to view you versus the next person who just gave a one-liner, doesn't say anything about themselves or how these goals are incorporated into their personal narrative.
Yes, sir.
It completely causes you to stand apart from your peers, right? Because people get a better understanding of the type of person that you are and what drives you, right?
Yeah, no, that's
Awesome,
perfect.
awesome. So what I hear you say then, some of the key elements of that personal narrative are being authentic, right? Your vision, for what you see ahead and how you've been resilient, right? Even in difficult times, right? Because that definitely should be a part of it as well. No, it's good.
Thank you for being with us today on Leadership Sovereignty. Stay connected with us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and on Instagram by searching for Leadership Sovereignty. And just like this podcast, let's all collectively grow as we go. God bless.